Hey everyone, this is Dr. George Bernbach. Welcome, welcome. And I'm excited about this because we see it in patients, we see it in our staff, but every now and again we feel it right inside of ourselves, and that's anxiety. Anxiety over decisions, anxiety over new patient marketing, anxiety over money, and sometimes we don't know how to shake it off. So we find some self-destructive triggers, going out to the bar, or we find some other triggers, having conversations. But at the end of the day, there are 4 reasons why we tend to feel anxious all the time. And if you've been like me, you've tried to share that with people, and what do they say to you? You know, it's going to be okay. You just need to relax. Just loosen up a bit. Everything always turns out all right. Well, I know that most successful people are worriers. You know, at least at some level, they care enough to worry about things. So telling someone to stop worrying and just appreciate all the good things in their life, that sounds fantastic, but it's not actually going to stem the anxiety, right? Living in the moment is a wonderful thing, but it doesn't stop that anxiety, that anxious feeling when you're just not sure. So I started diving into this, and I think this is going to be good information for you and help you lead the people around you. What most people don't realize is that there are often subtle underlying reasons why we feel anxious that we don't always want to admit. Number 1, successful people have a low tolerance for uncertainty. They want at least a chance that they know how something's going to turn out. So that's the first reason. If you have a low tolerance for uncertainty, well, you're going to feel more anxious in certain situations, right? The second reason is that we have a higher need for control. And that means that if I teach you something, I want to know that it's going to happen that way when I'm not around, right? And that makes sense in a certain way. So number 2 is maybe we're focusing too much on control. But I will promise you this, all good work is about control. Control over the things you can control. You see? I think it was Ralph Ellison who said, life is to be lived, not controlled, and humanity is won by continuing to play in the face of certain defeat. Which sounds so magical when you say it like that, but in reality, if we focus on must-have control, we're usually going to run into a lot of anxiety. The third reason, and this is something that many people fall into as a primary form of stress, is that they hate conflict and they try to be a people pleaser. But they do so in a way that does not resonate with themselves and their own personality. They're doing it and feeling like they're giving in or giving up in order to do it. And so that becomes your third reason. So what do we have so far? Number 1, we have a low tolerance for uncertainty. I want to kind of know what's going to happen. Number 2, I want to be in control of things because it's safer that way. Number 3, you're a people pleaser. You know, it's easier than having the confrontation. But here, I'm going to give you the 4th one. And to me, the 4th one is the most important of the 4, right? It is truly the reason why the self-help industry will never actually help you, right? Most people realize that chronic stress or chronic anxiety is a major contributor to how they view their happiness in their life. If you're constantly overwhelmed at work, you're probably going to feel pretty anxious, you see? If you're in an unhealthy relationship or you have stress around you in your staff team, you're going to have a lot of anxiety to go with that too, right? If you are the primary person in charge and a lot of responsibility is heaped on you, you're probably going to feel some anxiety there as well. So what most people do is they take a personal day, you see? They try to handle their stress. They get a massage. They do a float tank. They make sure they're on the right supplements. They go to sleep earlier. But managing your stress in the realm of chronic anxiety or repetitive anxiety is a pretty terrible idea. Now, wait. I can already hear the comments and the eye rolls and things saying, no. I have to take care of me. I need time for me. And that's all true. For the most part, yes. But the reason that it's a terrible idea, the reason that stress management is not the best choice, comes down to a simple but very crucial distinction between stress and stressors. You see, stress, or feeling stress, being stress, is a physical reaction to a stressor, right? Someone sending you a passive-aggressive email is a stressor that triggers the anxiety. Your shoulders tensing up in response to that stressor. You see, your team member making a sarcastic comment is a stressor. Feeling inadequate as a leader because of a comment like that is stress. So most people spend so much time trying to manage their stress that they end up ignoring the real problem, which is that the stressors are staying constant in their life. You see, sometimes it's literally impossible to change some of the stressors in your life, right? You can't control what happens on the drive in if someone cuts you off. But for most of us, in our own practices, in our clinics, if we feel stress, we need to immediately identify the trigger and say, can I remove that stressor from my life? If going through email is overwhelming, can I delegate off going through the email so I only have to confront what I need to confront? Because it doesn't matter how much mindfulness meditation you practice, how many float tanks you float in. If you're surrounded by things that are constantly triggering, you're going to feel pretty anxious, okay? But unfortunately, because of this cult of stress management that we in natural healthcare are surrounded by, we start thinking that how we feel stress is the problem. If only I thought more positively, I would never be so stressed and anxious. But that's not right. You don't need more breathing exercises, positive mantras, or any other management technique. What you need is to quit obsessing about how you feel and start focusing on how you can manage the actual stressors. 99% of the time, better stressor management leads to less anxiety. And it comes down to being more assertive with your environment. What's triggering you? So as difficult as it may be, this is really about setting healthy boundaries. The way that we allow people into our life. How we shut down stressors that repeat as triggers. So having honest people around you, but they bring you information in a way that is helpful to you and not hurtful to you. Right? In short, if you want to reduce anxiety, don't pretend that you'll never feel anxious or worried. If you care about the practice, you're going to run into times where you feel anxious and worried because you can't always be certain of things. You can't always be in control of things. Sometimes it's better to help someone along and, create a better environment for them. But the one thing that you have complete control over is how you address the stressors that you recognize as triggering. See, before you diagnose yourself with low self-esteem or bad self-talk, make sure first that you're just not surrounded by systems that should be addressed and we're making them too low of a priority. That's what's going to make more sense, you see. We can practice tolerating uncertainty at a higher level. We can tolerate accepting that there are certain things outside of our control, and we can be more assertive about what we need from the people around us. But at the very end, get this concept in today. Spend more time managing your stressors than worrying about how to manage your stress, and life will be better because of it. So here's a quick 10-minute training on something that will truly change every aspect of your life for the better. All right? I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.